This is wild and makes zero sense, as Kevin Durant has been placed by Bleacher Report as one of the next stars to be traded. And we're going to be diving in and looking how that this is not going to happen with the Suns this year, as Durant and the Suns are pushing for a championship in Phoenix. We're going to be breaking down all the news, getting into all of this jazz on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support for the channel. CJ and I have been really appreciative. We just released a video about Ryan Dunn that did really good. So if you do enjoy the content, make sure to keep hitting that like button. And we do have an announcement. We will be hopping on the Suns Planet podcast on Saturday to do a live stream. So if you guys want to stay up to date, come check us out over there. Make sure to tune into that. But without further ado, let's get into the news at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. Without further ado, though, we're going to be discussing, is this the right move? And talking about this Kevin Durant debacle and discussion, because this is absolutely ridiculous after we've heard all the stuff this off season. So this article is courtesy of Donnie Drew, where it says Sun star projected to request trade. The Phoenix Suns may again have to include a prominent name in trade talks. And the player that they're talking about is Kevin Durant, as Bleacher Report believes he is not done, as Durant was named one of the handful of stars that will next demand a trade with the following reasoning. So let's dive in and let's get some of that. This is courtesy of Grant Hughes on Johnny Drewin's post, but Grant Hughes said, to put it charitably, KD has such a hard time staying satisfied over the last decade or so. He left a promising situation with the Oklahoma City Thunder and seemed almost immediately unhappy with the middle of the dynastic run with the Golden State Warriors. Then, despite handpicking teammates and coaches, he couldn't find peace with the Brooklyn Nets, wrote Grant Hughes. He made two separate trade requests to get him to the Phoenix Suns, the first of which came just 13 months after he signed a 4-year, $194 million extension with Brooklyn, where there was no sign of unrest at Phoenix at the moment, and the Suns, led by new head coach Mike Budenholzer and remade supporting cast that features a couple of actual point guards, can make the finals with a few favorable breaks. But if KD's Warriors tenure taught us anything, it's that no amount of team success guarantees satisfaction. Durant is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport, but he's also among the most merciful. His history suggests that it's not a question if his eye will start wandering, but when. So Grant obviously is implying that he thinks Kevin Durant is going to want out of this situation. He says that with this Phoenix Suns team, kind of how they're constructed with Kevin Durant's past, he is going to immediately ask out if things go south. And even though that is a possibility, I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future. He's saying next star player, and I could name an abundance of other star players that are already on the hot seat, or probably even getting closer to the hot seat than a player in Kevin Durant. One of them, I think, that we should be named is Jimmy Butler. We've heard numerous reports about Jimmy Butler and stuff like that all throughout the offseason. Nothing really concrete, but that's a player that Pat Riley had to talk to. Jimmy Butler was late to training camp. That, I think, is more of a glaring issue than a player in Kevin Durant. But we're not talking about Jimmy Butler. We're talking about KD. Now, ultimately, the Suns team wants to compete. They want to win. They brought in those point guards. They brought in Mike Budenholzer. They feel this is the perfect system for Beal, Booker, and KD, and I am believing in that. And we've already seen in the preseason, this team looked exceptionally better with the additions of these rookies, with the additions of these depth pieces. Durant, Booker, Beal looking solid as well. I'm telling you, this Suns team is going to make an impact in the Western Conference. And the Suns feel confident. KD feels confident. Bleacher Report, on the other hand, does not. Now, honestly, I do think the Suns are going to have a top tier team, and I don't see Kevin Durant in any way this year at all finding a way to get out of this situation. I think he's locked in, he's bought in, he wants to stay in Phoenix, he wants to win a championship. That's what Matt Ishbia wants, that's his goal, and that's what he is trying to bring to Phoenix. But let's dive in and let's look more at this as well, because Durant is actually eligible for a contract extension this season, and the Suns appear confident that Durant will stick around. Now, we all know about Media Day. We all kind of talked about that. Durant mentioned at Media Day that he has 2 years left on his deal. He worry about it when it gets there. But if we want to look at this quote, we can see this from the Suns saying, "We love having KD here. We want him here. We'll figure that out," like Matt Ishbia said. "We don't really talk about that publicly," said Suns general manager James Jones. But the thing is that we do talk about publicly is like who really wants to be here and who's a great fit for us. And so we love KD. He loves being here, but that goes without saying. So, like we said earlier, Kevin Durant wants to be here. James Jones knows that. They don't need to make it public. They don't need to make it a whole display of affection like the Rockets were trying to do, trying to say, "Oh, we're trading for these picks so we can trade for Kevin Durant." That was just the Rockets putting that in the atmosphere. It's not like that was immediately going to happen. Now, with Kevin Durant and this Suns team. I definitely see him staying for this season for sure, and I don't see any necessary changes happening with this team. But if the Suns do have a disappointing finish to the year, similar to last year in the playoffs, then I could see some changes going in with this Suns team for the next year or the year after that. But for this year, I do not see anything happening. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. But let's kind of get into the next part, which is what is the likelihood, and if so, when? So, like I kind of already said, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I really don't think it will. I think the Suns, even if they have a struggling first half of the season, which we have seen that they don't seem like they are going to do, but if they even did, I still think that they would make some moves around the edges to make this team full out competent. I don't see them blowing up any of the big three, not at the deadline, not throughout this year. The end of the year, though, I can see it possibly happening, and for some other reasons as well. So let's dive in and let's look at that. First, like I said, Durant has 2 years on his contract, but let's look at Durant's contract. Durant's making around $50 million. And as we all know, the Suns are in that second apron. Now, Matt Ishbia has said that he's willing to pay the second apron and he doesn't matter about the taxes. But with Durant making $50 million for 2 more seasons, that is a lot of money guaranteed on an aging roster. And Matt Issa says, do you want to know how effed the Suns are? Next season, 3 of their 6 players have the biggest salary cap hit on their roster. Look at the NBA. These are the top 6 players with the highest salaries next season. And Booker, Beal, and Durant are 4, 5, and 6. Now, this might be an issue because this is just showing you that you're putting all this money into all this talent. Now, obviously, players like Durant and Booker deserve that money. Beal making that $50 million, if he gets to a star level, then for sure. But if not, then I don't think he's worthy of deserving that $50 million. So it gets a little wonky. Then you have to ultimately ask yourself a question if you're a Phoenix Suns fan. What move are we making? Are we trying to trade Beal? Are we trying to keep Durant and Booker together? Are we trying to move Durant because we're going to get the most assets, we're going to get the most pieces from him? That's the ultimate question. Ultimately, like I said, I don't think that this question even arises until the off season if things go wrong. But like I said, this year, the Suns have looked hot through the preseason. Budenholzer has looked good, and I do not see this happening at all. Durant will not be traded from this team this season. And Bleacher Report needs to get that wrapped around their heads because Bleacher Report wants to push the fact that Durant is going to be traded, but he is not going to be traded. But like I said, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. What are you guys' thoughts? How do you guys feel about this? It does get a little weird. It does get a little wonky when you do look at them 3 being one of the highest top 3 of the top 10 highest players in the league. It gets a little scary, but if Matt Ishbia is worthy of paying that money, he's not scared of putting that money where his mouth is. He believes in this squad. I see this team keeping the core together. Like I said, let me know what you think down below. Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section. You guys have been absolutely killing it, showing your support. Like I said, we're hopping on the Suns Planet Pod on Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time for all of you guys. If you want to stay up to date, if you want to jump in on that, come talk to us. Make sure to tune into that. It'll be absolutely fantastic. Once again, I'm Bruce Veliz. You guys have been the world. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day. And go Phoenix Suns.